Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rajan, and I'll be your host for the Fusion CX 4.12 G release enhancements. So during the presentation, if you have any queries, please do feel free to put them on chat, and we'll tackle them after the end of the story, right? After the end of each story. Okay. So now we have come up with quite a few enhancements this GA. So the very first that we would like to discuss is the customer resolution through channel admission framework. Now, what this enhancement basically entails for you is that previously what used to happen was that, let's just say, a customer contacted you through Facebook. Now the agent saved his name and everything, and then later on the customer contacted you for the first time through Twitter. And now previously your agent had to manually merge these customers together, else they would continue as separate customers in Ameyo. However, with this new enhancement in the channel addition framework, it's now possible to auto resolve the customer. So once your agents have identified that this is the same customer across Facebook and Twitter or any other channel for that matter, the customer and all his interactions will be auto merged as a single unified customer. So in this screenshot, you can see where I can add different types of channels to the channel addition framework, where you can give it a name. So for example, I want to add a Google Play profile. I'll just select Google Play, give it a name, a display name that comes up in front of the agent, and I'll be able to map it to show in the agent's custom card, right? And the agent can then use that customer card to merge customers together, or the CAF from now on will be able to merge these customers together by itself. Okay. So next up is email notifications for message sending errors. Now, a lot of time it is very important for an agent to send a notification to the customer, right? Send a message to the customer. Now, this is important both from the perspective of meeting your SLAs and maintaining your customer's experience. Now, however, it can happen that the message that the agent triggered, right? Let's just say he was sending a reply via the email, or he was posting something on Facebook. It did not actually post. It failed to post. Maybe the servers were down, maybe the email exchange was down, or maybe the Facebook app was down, right? Now, in such cases, it is very important to identify such errors as soon as possible. For example, if let's just say a customer has made a comment on social media, he posted something on Facebook. Now, it's very important to make sure that the customer is responded to very quickly. And in case the Facebook responses are failing, right, it might be very prudent to send that customer an email or call him to talk about this issue. Because if you do not respond back in time, he might post a further negative comment that, see, I posted a negative comment and these guys have not even responded, right? So you want to avoid such a scenario. So in such cases, to tackle such cases, what we've done is, in case this message sending fails over any of the channels, right, your stakeholders will automatically get an email that informs them that such and such channel is down. So this will ensure that they can take corrective actions as soon as possible, or figure out a corrective strategy such as sending an email or calling them instead of responding on Facebook, so that your customer experience does not suffer. So this is kind of where you do it in the event-based rules, where if a mail sending or message sending fails, then you can show notifications to admins, to supervisors, and you can also send email notifications. So for example, if the mail sending is failing, right, you might want to configure rules where your administrator gets a quick notification that this particular thing is failing. You can show a notification to a supervisor or send a pre-configured email to the supervisor with the standard SOP, so that they can inform the agents what they need to do next, as well as add the support email address of your email exchange provider, so that automatically a ticket gets raised with them that emails are failing, right? So you can do these kinds of things now with this particular enhancement. So moving on to the next story. So this is enhancement in acronym feature. So a lot of times agents need to respond very quickly to the customer, but these responses also need to be standardized, right? So for example, in a certain process, let's just say it's support for your website login, right? Uh, Now agents know that they have to give the same kind of responses to the customer again and again, right? It's pretty standard from their perspective because they've been working in this process for quite some time, and they figured out that these are the 4 or 5 responses that they always need to send. And of course they might need to send some custom responses as well. Now earlier we used to have an we have an acronym feature. Actually, not earlier, we have an acronym feature that basically lets the agent or the supervisor create acronyms where you could keep a short form and then a full form, right? So you would have, like, for example, in the example used in the screenshots later on, ISRO, right? So it can stand, if you type in ISRO and press space, it would result in Indian Space Research Organization being typed. Now, this was only available over chat. However, now with this feature enhancement, this is first of all available across emails, chats, and all other tickets. Also, apart from that, uh, earlier the problem was that the agent had to remember all of these short forms, all of these acronyms, right? He had to remember that he has to type ISRO if he wants Indian Space Research Organization to appear. Now with this feature enhancement, right? So this is how he used to this was his limitation earlier. He had to remember the short term, right, to print out the full term. However, with this new feature, what can happen is agent just needs to press the tilde key, which will immediately pop up a drop down menu where he can see all the different acronyms that are available to him, right? So this can be just a simple acronym or it can be a long sentence as well. So now, with the help of this dropdown, he can quickly select or search can quickly select the acronym that he wants to use, click on it, and it will auto-populate. So this is how, for example, uh, in this ticket, when creating this ticket, in the body of the ticket, he just typed in tilde and IR and IS appeared. So he just started with I, and the IR and ISRO appear, and he can just select ISRO and it will auto populate over here. Right, so this will help the agent to work faster. Okay, now the next story is an enhancement in the chat platform where basically when your agents need to send an attachment with the during the chat. Earlier they would send an attachment and then they would send in a message that explains the attachment, right? Now, what can happen and what did happen quite a few times was after the agent sent the attachment, the customer just sent a message uh, uh, at the same time, right? So you had the attachment, you had the customer's message, and then the agent's explanation, and then the agent's response. So this could create confusions sometimes in the mind of the customer or the agent as well, right? Because the flow is not exactly clear. Now, to resolve this, what we have done is when you are sending a attachment to the customer, along with the attachment, you can also now send a caption. So, for example, in the screenshot, you can see the way the caption appears, the attachment, the caption appears when first you send a image. So you have the image and the caption like this. And if you send a video, then you have the video link and the video caption. So this particular story aims to enhance the customers and the agent's journey. So the next feature is download all attachment functionality. Now this feature basically aims to make the agent's life simpler. So earlier, what used to happen was that if the customer has sent multiple documents, your agent would have to download each one of them individually, right? Now this can take some time and also makes his task much more tedious, right? Clicking on each and every download button. However, with this feature, what you can now do is you can immediately download all of the attachments as a single zip file, and then simply extract them and see all of them at once. So again, this will help the agent save his time and improve his efficiency. So this is kind of how it will appear inside a ticket if he's working on a ticket where Whenever there is an attachment with the message, he will see a button to download all the attachments. So as you can see, there are 10 attachments in this particular message, and he can download them all at once. Now, the next feature talks about copying ticket stage to different queues. So this feature basically aims to enhance the way your administrator sets up external ticket status for tickets, right? So it can happen that your particular ticketing campaign, right, or your interaction campaign has multiple queues. And in each of these queues, you need to use similar or the same kinds of external statuses. So, so a bit of background. So for each internal status, which is new, open, pending, or closed, you can create custom external statuses, right? So, for example, under pending, you could have pending for pending on customer, pending on IT, pending on sales, or right, or pending on technical team, right? So you can have these kinds of multiple custom external pending statuses for the internal pending status, right? Now, when creating these statuses, it can be a very tedious task that you have to go to each and every queue and uh, set up the statuses over there. Now, with this new feature, what you can do is you can, against each and every status that you have created, you can copy to all queues. For example, in this merged, so you have, these are your statuses that have been created, right? Now, you can simply copy all of these features, all of these status to all the queues at once, right? So this is how it used to look earlier, where you had to manually go into each of the, when you had to manually go into each of the queues and set the statuses. But as you can see on this screen now, on the updated screen, you have all the queues on the left hand side, and you have the option to copy it over here. And this would be the next step, the alternate way to do it, where you could copy the ticket status and you can select it for a particular queue or copy it to all the queues. So this feature will essentially make management of your statuses very simple for your administrator. Now, in the next feature, we have also tried to enhance the way you can actually see these custom ticket statuses, right? For example, let's just say you have around 30 external statuses, right? These custom ticket status that you created. But all of these 30 are not being used in all the queues, right? In Q1, you are just using 10 of them. In Q2, you are using 15. And in Q3, you are just using 5 of them, right? So that is how you're actually using these 30 external statuses that you created. Now, if your agent actually sees all of these 30 statuses at once, he will get confused, right? So what would happen now is that only the statuses that are applicable to the agent will appear in front of him. So when creating the status, you can, let's just say you copied the statuses to everything, then he will see all the statuses. But if you select particular statuses in a particular queue, right? So in Q1, you just select closed, expired, and merged. And in Q2, you select ASDF and open SDF, right? So what would basically happen is, agents in Q2 will only see these two statuses, and agents in Q1 will only see these 4 statuses. That's how kind of you can provide a hierarchical view of the external ticket status or the custom ticket status to the agent. Our next feature, which is the ticket ID column appearing on the ticket listing app, which is also called as the agent dashboard. Now, what this feature does is it shows the ticket ID, which is the unique identification of any ticket or interaction, to appear in a separate column. Now, this makes the agent's job easier because now it's easier to spot the ticket ID. For example, earlier on the earlier ticket listing app. So this is the ticket listing app on the agent dashboard. Now over here, earlier, your ticket ID would appear over here, right, along with the subject. Now this sometimes made the agent a bit confused about what the ticket ID was. It was a bit difficult to see. So what we did was, with this feature on the ticket listing app, you will now have a separate column for the ticket ID where you can separately see the ticket ID over here. So this will help the agent identify particular tickets quite faster. The next feature is default chat messages in selected language. Now, as you know, the Ameyo interface actually supports multiple languages currently, right? Now, when a customer initiates a chat on his chat platform, right, whether he's coming through a website or whether he's coming through Facebook Messenger, right, he sees certain default messages. So they kind of look like this, right? So let's just say this: he has initiated a chat to the website. So on the website, he would get messages, default messages. Now these always used to be in English. However, as you can now see, these can now be in the interface language as well. So if, for example, you have selected Japanese as the interface language while logging in, and all the system strings are actually appearing in Japanese, right? So the default messages that appear for every chat interaction will now also appear in Japanese, both on the customers and the agency. So this would again enhance both the customers and the agent journey, because the reason why they're using Japanese interface is because they are more comfortable in Japanese, right? Of course. So when these messages also appear to them in Japanese, they would be much more comfortable with the entire experience. Now, the next feature is called Enhanced Customer Experience via Twitter. Now, in order to enhance your customer's journey on Twitter, it's now possible to like or unlike a Twitter tweet as well. So earlier, while your agent could retweet, he could like a tweet, he could not unlike a tweet. Now, with this new feature, it's also possible for the agent to unlike this tweet. Now, the next feature is a enhancement in our Facebook set of features. Now on Facebook, it's also possible to actually go to a Facebook page of a business and provide them with a rating and leave reviews, right? Now, these reviews and ratings can be viewed by the business in the reviews tab. Now with this new feature enhancement, it's possible to automatically generate a ticket or an interaction in Ameyo if a customer has provided a rating and a review. And then your agents can actually respond to these reviews that your customers have left on the Facebook page. So this is an example of where a review was left for the business and the agent was able to respond back. Next up, we have a feature that is called Edit Delete Social Media Responses. Now, as a business, you need to make sure that your agents are responding to customers in a very compliant manner as per your organizational policies, right? Agents cannot misbehave with the customer. Agents need to make sure that they talk in a particular way. But again, these agents are individuals who can lose their cool and who can be rude to customers sometimes, or they might post some wrong information while responding back to a customer. Because they have a lot of queries to respond to, and maybe they made a mistake, right? Now, this is actually going as a record on the social media, right? So if the agent has responded to one of the customers, saying that the interest rate on a particular policy is 10% instead of 8%, it's something that's recorded on social media. Or if a agent has responded back rudely to the customer, it's something that everyone else can see on the social media, right? Thereby, we identified that it was very important to let your agents or the supervisor basically, right, edit that agent's response that has gone on social media, so that any rude replies or any incorrect information can be quickly rectified. Now, with this feature, it's possible to change the responses or update the responses that the agents had made over social media or any of the other passive channels like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google Play, or YouTube. So this is a screenshot that shows the feature where what you see up over here is what the agent had previously replied, and now you are also able to edit it and post the updated reply. So as you can see, the message has been queued for editing. So the next feature is showing the actual time of a Facebook post or a comment in ticket messages. Now to understand this feature, we first need to understand how the Facebook post works, right? Now the customer goes onto your Facebook wall, he makes a comment or he makes a post over there. Now this post is then fetched by your Facebook app, which is basically Facebook's ways of providing you an API, right? Now this app sends it to the Ameyo social server, and then that social server sends it to your particular instance of Ameyo, right? Now, of course, as it's going through a journey, the actual time when the customer made the post, and then there's also the polling period, right? Because you need to limit the number of times and call that API. So when the actual time that the customer made the post and the time the ticket was created in Ameyo, there's a difference. Now, earlier what used to happen was you could only see the time the ticket was created in Ameyo. Now, this could sometimes cause a disparity where the customer would be saying that I actually made the post at 12 p.m. and your agent would be saying you made the post at 12:03 or 12:05, right? With the new feature, what we've done is, along with the time when you could actually see the ticket being created, you can now also see the actual time when the customer actually made that Facebook post. Now, this is displayed as a tooltip currently. Right. So as you can see, for this particular comment, it was created at 21:19. And if I hover on it, I can see commented today at 21:18. So as you can see, there is a difference of 1 minute between the customer actually making the post and the ticket being raised in Ameyo. Now, the next feature is more from the perspective of data security and compliance. Let's say today you have onboarded Facebook. Now, tomorrow you actually need to delete that particular Facebook page and upload another one, right? Or maybe you want to completely offboard Facebook as a channel for your customers. Now, earlier what would happen was there would be certain data that would be left even after you remove the Facebook integration, right? However, now with the delete customer API, you can completely remove Facebook from Ameyo at a single go, where all the related data, whether it's the webhook that is used to integrate with your Facebook page, any data regarding that Facebook page, whether it's the comments or the replies from the customer or the agent, any processed and raw data, all of this will be deleted in batches from Ameyo. So this basically makes the deregistration or the removal of Facebook from Ameyo complete in nature, where all your configurations, all your user data, and your message data will automatically get deleted by calling the delete customer API. Next up is the handling of edit post via webhooks feature. So this is so just like I as an agent need to edit my post, it's also possible that the customer himself wants to edit or delete his post, right? Now, earlier, what would happen was that if a customer had made a post and he had edited it, your agent would not be made aware of an editing action on the part of the customer. Or if the customer deleted that post, your agent would not come to know. However, with this feature enhancement, it's now possible to get these these deletion or edited updates from your Facebook wall and show it to the agent. So for example, you can see this is the original post. Hello, I am adding a post with something. Now this comment was edited. Then the reply was edited, and again another post was added. So now not just your agents but also your customers can edit that post, and that information can be made available to your agent so that he can understand the entire scenario, not get confused, and respond back accordingly. The next feature on the list is FB Messenger showing chats from different pages of a single account. So this feature enhancement enables you to support multiple pages of a single business, right? So let's just say for a single umbrella, right? You have a business account on Facebook. Now, under that business account, you have multiple pages. Now, these could be based on your business process. For example, based on different kinds of products, you could have a Facebook page for. So Ameyo is the business, right? That is the business account, and it has Ameyo Voice, Ameyo Engage, Ameyo Emerge, and Ameyo Fusion CX as the different Facebook pages. Now, customers who want to talk about Facebook Ameyo Voice would actually go to the Ameyo Voice Facebook page and initiate a chat conversation from that page, right? Customers who have queries about Fusion CX would go to the Fusion CX page and initiate queries from that page. Now, as an agent, it should be possible for me to see what is the source page from which the customer has come. Because if I know he has come in from the Ameyo Voice page, then I know that his query is about Ameyo Voice, and I can tackle that accordingly. And if I know it's coming from the Fusion CX page, I can tackle it accordingly. So earlier this was not possible, but now with this particular feature enhancement, you can actually see the source page as well on the agent screen, so that you know what is the origin of the customer and how to handle that particular customer. And of course, this data is also available in the chat history table. Multiple chat channels in a single campaign. Okay, so this feature basically allows you to configure multiple sources of chat inside a single campaign, right? So even if you want to configure multiple Facebook accounts or multiple WhatsApp numbers, for example, now this can be done into a single campaign, so that the same set of agents can answer queries coming in from all your sources, right? So for example, if you have two Facebook accounts, now remember, this is different from the previous story where I was talking about multiple pages of a single account, right? Of a particular single Facebook account. Now, in this story, I'm actually in this feature, I'm actually talking about different Facebook accounts as well, right? So if you want to use the Facebook accounts of two completely different Facebook accounts to be answered by the same set of agents, you can actually now do that, so that your agents can be more productive and work across different channels as well. So this is how you can configure all of these different channels into a single campaign. Next up are some feature enhancements for WhatsApp. Now, the very first feature enhancement is infrastructure monitoring for WhatsApp. Now, for WhatsApp, for each and every phone number that you actually want to link to your WhatsApp for Business account, you need to host a WhatsApp Docker, right? So that's a client for that for each and every number. Now, this client runs on a Docker, which is basically a mini server that utilizes certain cores, certain RAM, and has certain storage, right? Now, if that storage is filling up, or if you are getting a lot of messages and that particular Docker is not able to handle that much processing, right? It can lead to performance issues. Now, with WhatsApp infrastructure monitoring, you will be able to monitor in real time things like what is the latency, what are the error rates, or how many messages are being sent out each second, or how many DB queries are running each second. Now, this ensures that you can understand how your infrastructure is functioning and if you need to upgrade it, or if some issues actually happen. You can now also send video attachments in WhatsApp, where earlier you were limited to documents and images. It's now also possible to send a video attachment to the customer. So this gives you an opportunity to send advertisements or video tutorials to your customers. So over here, what you can see is sending the, so in the event-based rules, I've just created a rule that, for example, if the customer has just registered for a service and a ticket has been created for account opening, I can send different kinds of WhatsApp messages to the customer, maybe with the onboarding document, and with this feature, I could also send him an onboarding video that talks about what the next steps that he needs to take. Right? Maybe a quick short video of how he needs to fill a form, or what are the steps that he needs to take to upload the required documents onto your portal. So these are all the different kinds of WhatsApp templates that are now supported. So you have a template for a text, you have a template with an attached image, you have a template with an attached document, and now you also have a template with an attached video. Next step is WhatsApp template language selection. Now, just like the Ameyo system messages can go in the default languages, WhatsApp languages can now also be set. So when you are actually creating a template, you can create a multilingual version of it. For example, let's just say we talk about English and French. Now, the way that you reach out to customers who speak English and who speak French might also be different, right? For example, you might you use a different different mannerisms actually when talking to English speaking customers and when talking to French speaking customers or Hindi speaking customers, right? For example, in one of the scenarios, you might want to be very professional and to the point. In the other scenario, you might want to establish a more personal connection and talk in a more personal language as well. Now, with this particular feature enhancements, it's possible to create different templates in different languages. So for the same template, right, I would have an English version of it and a French version of it and a Hindi version of it. And I'll also be able to select, to customize those particular templates. So it's not like a fixed auto translation. You can specify the translation on your own. You can provide custom translations for each template. And when we are sending the message to the customer, we can use his preferred language and send the template accordingly. So this feature would help us enhance the customer's journey and also help you enhance your process by helping you modify the template in each particular language as well. Okay. So just like we had a failure notification for all the passive channels, we now also have a WhatsApp template sending failure notification. So if any of these notifications that we are sending to the customer, the template notifications, whether it's a system generated message or an Ameyo generated message, right? If the message actually did not go to the customer, if the docker was unable to send it, the administrators can now get these notifications so that they can then take the next steps to rectify this issue. As you can see, I am getting a notification that unable to send the message. Okay. Now, the last feature for the day is previewing attachments in the field agent app. So your field agents are actually people who are down on the ground and actually going to the customer's place to maybe collect some documents or maybe repair a fridge, right? Now, in the fields agent app, what happens is that the supervisor can assign tickets to the field agent, and the field agent can see the service location, the details that he needs to do, the service details, right? Now, in such scenarios, there might also be attachments in the ticket. Earlier, before this feature was available, your agents would actually have to download that attachment in order to see it. Now, please do keep in mind that this is an agent that's down on the ground. He has a low range or a mid range smartphone, and he has this app installed. Now, if he's downloading all these attachments, his phone would get filled very quickly. And let's just say he encounters a scenario where his phone's memory is full. Now he cannot even download any new attachments, right? So it was causing operational issues. So what we've done with this new feature is that your agent no longer needs to download an attachment in order to see it. He can simply preview that attachment. So this is kind of what it would look like, where you have all the different files that are a part of the field service ticket. Now you can download all of them. You can download a particular attachment, or you could just click on this button to preview it. So your agent just previews this without having to download it and filling up his form. So these were all the features, the new feature enhancements that we wanted to cover today during the session. There are other feature enhancements as well, which will be shared with you in the GA release document.